Hey everyone, Pat Mesiti on a Monday afternoon, 5 o'clock. And today, I tell you what, I'm excited about today and our special guest today. This is one out of the box. And do you know, Dictator Dan has done, my ear thing just popped out, it's all good. Dictator Dan has done so much damage to this country and to the good people of Victoria. And we suffered. And I say we because it affected all of us in Australia. We suffered through his nonsense and his memory loss, of course, you know, with the whole quarantine issue. And then, of course, the longest lockdowns on the planet. He holds the gold medal for it. And what a tragedy that the people of Melbourne had to suffer at the hands of, well, I call him a despot. Basically, I mean, I'm happy to say he's an antichrist type of person, but I don't want to go down that road straight away. The gentleman I'm about to introduce you was 4 years in the Parliament of Victoria. He's an author, he's a speaker, well-researched, and a guy that actually really is concerned about Victoria. He's running in the election in Victoria that's coming up, and people of Victoria, listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. You've got to get rid of Dan. I'm telling you. Don't do it to yourselves again. Now, without further ado, let me introduce my special guest, great guy, Geoff Shaw. How are you, Geoff?
Hi, Pat. Thanks for that introduction. That's fantastic.
Oh, man, thanks for having us on the program. Now, Geoff, look, people out there may not know you. I mean, some very well may know you, but tell us a bit. I know you wrote a book about Dan, but tell us about you and your credentials and why people should listen to what you've got to say.
Well, thanks, Pat. Well, first of all, I'll say I'm married with a dad with 5 kids. That's pretty important on top of my priority list, and that's really why I put together this book. But my background has been 4 years in Parliament, as you said. I was with the Liberal Party here in Victoria, and then I went independent for about a year and a half, the last year and a half, and I was a member for Frankston, which is a beachside suburb about an hour's drive south of Melbourne. And prior to that, I ran an accounting practice. Well, I owned an accounting practice in tax. Did that for more than 20 years. It was a fairly large firm on the peninsula and had a couple of other business interests as well.
So, Geoff, you wrote a book about the Victorian Pharaoh. Premier. Slip of the tongue there, mate. I just can't help myself. You wrote a book. Tell us about the book. Tell us what's in this book and why we need to read and why we need to unmask this character.
Thanks, Pat. Well, really, it's a book about a monster, as you pointed out at the start. It's about a dictator, and we are the longest. Melbourne was the longest place in the world for lockdowns. 263 days over 6 lockdowns. He holds a Guinness Book of Records for the longest days in lockdown, and the number of lockdowns that we had. So the book's about his 20 years in Parliament. It's not just about the lockdown period from the start of 2020. It's about his whole 20 years in Parliament and what he has done, not just as leader, but also he was health minister in a prior government, and also he was the opposition leader from when I was in 2010 to 2014, and exposes what he's done in that 20 years to Victorians and exposes who he is as well.
He seems to have a knack of, well, pulling the wool over people's eyes. He in my opinion, is a prolific liar. Why do you reckon he got such amnesia during the quarantine issue when he had to appear before the courts? What happened there, Geoff?
Yeah, I think it's called selective amnesia there, Pat. It was, of course, I can't recall. I don't know about that. It's a very simple answer because who can argue with that? If he doesn't know, well, he doesn't know. There needed to be someone else who came out and said he actually did know, and there was a few, but it wasn't taken on by the media, which is amazing because from that quarantine, 800 people died, and the Ombudsman directly related those deaths to him and his government. 800 people, Pat.
800 people dead. And this guy is still hailed as a hero. Have the people of Victoria fallen in love with the captors? I mean, they seem to have Stockholm syndrome. I don't know what it is down there. And then the other thing is these minor parties that seem to give him the balance of power. How corrupt are these people?
Yeah, look, a couple of questions in there, but these people are corrupt. I mean, the Reasons Party, which used to be called the Sex Party, got in with 1.37% of the vote in the upper house. The Transport Matters Party, 1.37% in the upper house. That was the primary vote. And preferences flowed to that particular person. It's only it's a one-issue party, and it was about decriminalising and increasing the sex industry, where new legislation just came through in the last few months, where if you wanted to, you could set up a brothel next door in your own house in residential areas, and this is the leverage that these parties have got, and that's just one person in the upper house of 40 people. There's another single issue one called the Animal Justice Party. They got in with a very, very slim single figure margin as well, as a primary vote, and they're just a single issue party. And it's not like both Liberal and Labor don't have an animal justice part of their policy. It's just that these people want it probably on that name. But that's another one who's done disastrous things for Victoria and was part of the whole giving Dan Andrews more power through Parliament.
Now, Geoff, anyone can write a book. And, you know, I've written about 12 myself, and I know how hard it is, mate. So my hat's off to you. But you've done an incredible amount of research. Can you tell us what research that you dug deep in this, my brother. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I certainly can. Look, I played with it about a year ago. It came to my mind September last year when my wife and I were talking. And so I jotted down the headings that we were going to do, the chapters. Every chapter for something different starts with D for Dan, and it goes down from Digger Dan, for example. So I interviewed a lot of Vietnam vets and ADF people, Australian Defence Force personnel, and how the lockdowns affected them, mentally, socially, and physically as well, because we were locked down, meaning that we couldn't go outside to exercise for more than 1 hour.
Crazy.
At a time. In the worst of the lockdowns, 1 hour at a time. So these people couldn't go and socialise with their buddies from their battalions and get together at the RSL because all that was closed. Like churches were closed and gyms were closed, so we couldn't do any of that sort of stuff. So I interviewed a number of diggers, particularly down in my area of Frankston. Margaret Court, she approved what I wrote. I sent it off to her to be approved, and she approved it. A pastor down here called Paul Furlong. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he was... Yeah,
I do. I know. Now, you interviewed them, is that correct? Or you spoke to them about the book?
I interviewed Paul. What I did with Margaret Court, I wrote down a number of things through research, and I sent it off to her PA over there in Perth, and it got back, and she approved what I had written. So although I hadn't spoken to her, she approved what I'd written. But Paul Furlong I interviewed, who was locked up for 17 days here in Victoria for having his church open.
Can you 17 days for opening his church? And my challenge to some, and I've lost a lot of mates over this. I could not believe that these churches, particularly they did not at all challenge Dan Andrew. But, you know, Pastor Paul down there, small church, 15 days in solitary confinement or something?
Yeah, he was 17 days in jail all up, and he was raided 36 times by the police.
No.
36 times. He has a business next door to his church, an aquarium and cafe, and he was raided 36 times. On 3 or 4 of those occasions, 3 police vehicles rocked up.
Do you know, and I said this last night, I was speaking up in Bow Desert, and I'll talk about the rallies and a couple of things will coming up towards the end. But you know, when social media like Facebook and everybody else tries to silence and cancel you, that is what I call basically, it's evil. But when the church is silent, that's an abomination. And that to me, the silence, drove me mad. We were never meant to be silent. We were never meant to sit there and do nothing. I was saying last night that, everybody wants the miracle of Daniel where he shut the mouth of the lion, but nobody wants to do what Daniel did when he's told you can't pray. He opened it up and did it 3 times. I mean, why do you think, Geoff, that so much of the church was so silent in Victoria?
I think the answer to that is, Pat, fear. They were living under fear. Now, we know fear's not from God, but the church were living under fear. And that's all I can say. They wanted to comply. Myself particularly, we had a home church, and we continued with home church, for example. But the main ones, they closed down. And when they were open, even the church, one of the churches I go to in Biden, still had face masks. I didn't wear it. I'm not worshipping in a face mask. In fact, I wasn't wearing a face mask throughout the time. I wasn't complying with those dictates, because they were evil dictates. They were separating us. But fancy that. Not only that, they were, for people who go to church, basically muzzling people in church by putting a face mask on. So I think people were scared.
How have Christians reacted to a premier who, as you say in your book at the end of chapter 5, has been part of and enthusiastically supported legislation that's accounted for more killings of Australians in abortion and euthanasia than all the deaths suffered by Australians in all wars that we've fought in? What's the stand on that down there? I mean, we've been pretty vocal, but what's the stand on that down there in Victoria?
Well, it depends who you speak to. I mean, they're just startling figures, Pat, that there's been about 103,000 Australians die in wars over 120 years, and yet he accounts for more than double that, over 200,000 deaths since 2008. So only in 14 years. It's down here now that one conception in 8 is aborted. So, look, I think it's quite a divisive one down here, as it would be in many parts of Australia. I, for myself, I just put my hand up now. I'm pro-life, but I understand others aren't pro-life. I don't understand why, but they're not. So it can be quite divisive, and they're quite their opposition to any change in the abortion laws are met furiously and hysterically by the pro-abortionists.
I find it amazing. You guys have got an election on the 26th of November.
Yes.
I find it amazing that the polls show that this man who's locked down Australians, beat them up, tanks on the street, suffers from amnesia because he can't remember what bills he paid from what account from where. Why is the Liberal Party so pathetic down there in Victoria? Honestly, they, my grandma could run it, and she's dead now, but I reckon she'd run a better fight against this tyrant. Why are they so weak?
Yeah, you're right there, Pat. And I know a number of the Liberal people still. And look, I don't mind Matthew Guy, who's the leader, but his name's not out there. I spoke to someone the other day who's into politics, and they forgot his name. That's how much he's not in the media, and his presence is not being felt. I spoke to the administration a couple of years ago when all this lockdowns were happening, and I said, "Why aren't you doing anything? This is a perfect opportunity." And they said, we don't want to rock any boats, and we just want to follow what the government's doing. We don't want to be obstructionists. And I'm thinking, my gosh, guys, for a group, the Liberal Party, who are pro-small business, supposedly, pro-freedom of movement, freedom of speech, they were missing.
Honestly, to me right now, and I've stuck my neck out on this one, I don't see too much difference between Labor and Liberal anyway at the moment. They all seem to be all singing from the World Economic Forum songbook. But I hear down there in Victoria that there's a couple of people running against Dan Andrews, some independents in his own seat of Mulgrave, including Ian Cook and former Queensland MP Aidan McClendon. Do Do you give these guys much of a chance? I mean, you would think after all he's done to the people of Victoria that these independents could topple him. But what's your take on that?
I really like Aidan. Aidan is a great speaker. He is a great strategist. And I think, look, he needs to pull, as he said to me, all he needs to do is pull 6% away from Dan Andrews voters to his way, and Dan Andrews doesn't win. And I thought, well, okay, that's a great strategy. You want to win, but you understand how it works. But another one is Ian Cook, who in 2019, so before lockdowns, this is part of Dan in his 20 years of parliamentary life. He shut down, or he's responsible for shutting down, I Cook Foods. A great story, a terrible story there, really. And it was down here, it's called Slug Gate, because a slug was found supposedly in Ian's manufacturing of food premises. But it was planted there. It's come out that it was planted there by government officials, and he lost his business. It was closed down. He's come out and he said, "No, I'm going to run against this guy," and he has had great support down here for the seat of Mulgrave, which is Andrew's seat. And look, I believe he'll probably get preferences from the Liberal Party, and I think he has a really good showing down here to unseat Dan Andrews. But even if he's unseated, we've still got the Labor Party and the person coming up behind Dan Andrews, which is Jacinta Allen, who is also, cut from the same cloth.
The Liberal Party in Victoria, I mean, what were they thinking when they sacked Bernie Finn? Have they completely lost their minds?
I thought it was, it shocked me because it was only a couple of months ago. And Bernie Finn's quite outspoken. I like what he has to say. He's he's probably the only conservative outspoken person in Victorian Parliament, which houses 128 people. He was probably the only one. There's a couple of other conservatives, but not as loud and as vocal as he. And they come out and sack him. I don't understand that. He's gone to the DLP now. I don't understand it, but they wanted him out. And you're right what you said. The Liberals seem to be moving further. There's not much difference between the two parties. Now, I think there's more good guys in Liberal, by the way, but as far as their actions, very much, I can't tell the difference either.
So, Geoff, you're a conservative, you're a believer, you're very clever, you're smart, you've got great speaking skills. Are you going to have another go?
Pat, that's a really good question. I can say more will be revealed in the next week or so. But let's just say that I'm a member of the United Australia Party, and I think they're a fantastic outfit. They haven't hit Victoria before, though we have a Victorian senator. And I think we've got a really good showing because, as you said, the Liberal Party has marched more towards the left, like Labor. They've left a great wake. They've left a great wake behind them, a great space, a great void, which can be filled with people like United Australia Party, Aidan McClinton's party, Freedom Party, even the Liberal Democrats as well. There's a great wake there that Liberal voters hopefully say, well, Liberals aren't going so well. They're moving in a direction away from their foundations. Let's give the United Australia Party a go. So that's I am. Let's say I'm keen. I
want to give Geoff Shaw a go. That's what I want to give because I think you're a good man.
Fantastic.
That's what I want to see. Look, I could care if you had your own thing because I know you're a good man and you're a person with great faith. And what I love about you, you're really committed to the family. The war on our children right now is just unbelievable. Now, Geoff, firstly, by the way, guys, I got Geoff's book. Met Geoff at Monica Smith's event down there in Sydney. Wasn't that a blast, man? That was wall-to-wall people.
Yeah, it was. And you were terrific up there too, Pat.
Thanks, Geoff. Thank you. You're right. Now, Geoff, where can we get your book? Now, guys, I'm telling you, it's a great read. It's a great read. My favourite chapter was chapter 6. Chapter 6 about Dan 666. That what you gotta get the book just for that chapter. You gotta get the book just for that chapter. Now, Geoff, where can we get this book and support you and your work that you're doing, brother?
Thanks, Pat. You can get it at www.danandrewsunmasked.com.au. Dan Andrews Unmasked. I'll flash the book there. That's the book.
Yeah, there you go. There it is. There it is.
And sorry, it's got Dan's face on. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. Oh, look, people can put it up and they can throw what do you call darts at it. Now, Geoff, because I'm going to talk to people today on Wednesday. Everyone, listen to me very carefully. On Wednesday, I have a very, very special webinar on because you've got to get financially free. You can't go living by the banksters and the cartels. And I'm going to tell you the story of Elspeth Hughes, who during the pandemic, she was a single mum, lost her job, and there is the link there. I think I've got about 80 spots left on the Zoom. And let me just tell you what you're going to learn from Elspeth. Basically lost her job, and she was a sound engineer. Geoff, I'll get you to come back in a second. She was a sound engineer. She lost her job during the pandemic and came across an email of mine, and she decided to really push back. And what she did, she was crying, she was on the floor, didn't know what to do. Well, guess what? Elspeth decided to kick it into another gear, and she started to build online stores. As a matter of fact, she now owns 40 online stores that generate over £100,000 a year each. And here's the thing. I saw Elspeth generate $128,000 in 60 minutes. But here's what I love about it, and this is where you all need to pay attention. She is now teaching people that have lost their jobs and people that want an extra income, how to do it themselves. Matter of fact, she actually builds stores for them. So you're going to learn really in under 2 hours how you can do this and how to basically also set up a store and then sell it and keep doing it. No skills are needed. You don't really need to be a whiz kid. Guys, you got to get financially, I'm losing my earpiece here, financially independent and financially free, whatever way you can. Now, let me tell you, Elspeth is no superstar. She's no guru. She's just a single mom. And I don't mean to say disrespect, she's just a very plain lady, but with an amazing skill to help people get a financial education. So be part of this on Wednesday. There is the link there. I'll make sure my team puts it in the chat as well. I think 70 or 80 spots left on the Zoom. We've got a session in the morning, a session at night. But Geoff, how important is it for people to get away from the system financially? I mean, people just lost their jobs like that. How important is it for people to be financially free? I mean, you're an accountant, so I mean, surely you've got some insight into that.
I'm 100% with you that people need to be financially free and not rely on government, as we did a lot through I call it the mad-demic. You called it what did you call it, Pat?
The plandemic.
The plandemic, yeah. I've got mad-demic throughout my book, but very important for people to get financially free. I'm fascinated by that woman there, 40 businesses that she set up, or online stores selling 100,000 a year. That's about, but very important, Pat, because we can't rely on these institutions, the big institutions. No. We can't rely on government. We've seen how both throughout our lives, the government has ripped us off, and banks have ripped us off as well. We know that, but we continually fall to them and default to them because there's nothing else. But there is something else, and this is really exciting what you're saying. With this lady on Wednesday night, very important.
Well, Geoff, we're going to get you back on before November.
Thanks, Pat.
And I'm going to keep nudging you.
Okay.
Everyone, give
I'll have some news. I'll have some news on the way for you then.
All right, let me know. We want to announce it here now. Everyone, again on Wednesday, our very special webinar with an amazing lady, Elspeth here. She's in the UK. So she's going to get up very early in the morning. Get in on this one. Look, I know for some of you shares might be a challenge or the crypto thing might be a challenge, but this one you can all do. Come on. This one you can all do. And listen, if you're not online, you're going to get off track. The world is going online. The government has lied to you. The system has lied to you. Oh, your super's going to help you. Oh, your pension's going to help you. It's a lie. It is an outright lie, an outrageous lie. They have lied to us. They continue to lie to us. It's time we got ourselves independent financially. So get in on this webinar this Wednesday. It'll change your life. And also, our rallies. We had a wonderful time in Bow Desert. My goodness gracious me. It was like heaven split open. We're continuing our rallies. We're going to be in Toowoomba. Now, if you're up in Toowoomba or any of those regions, our TV ads are going to be starting. Toowoomba will be from the 9th to the 12th of October. Yep. I'm going to be in Toowoomba on my birthday, and we are calling it The Awakening. I'm bringing my music team. Some of the freedom fighter people are going to be with us. Well, we're all freedom fighters, but I've got some very special guests. I've got David and Jenny Gilpin. My goodness gracious me, Jenny shared her story of how, well, I won't ruin her story. What an amazing story about someone that could have been aborted, but what a life she's living now. David and Jenny Gilpin, great speakers, great teachers. So we're coming to Toowoomba the 9th to the 12th. Hervey Bay and that whole area up there. We are coming to you in November. Television ads start next week. Guys, I'm telling you, you want to register, go to mesitilive.com. Admission is free. Every day is a different message, okay? We're doing morning teaching and night super rallies for an awakening, a spiritual awakening. We will be looking at today's world through the word, through what God says. And by the way, they're not a religious-y kind of meetings. You all know me well enough to know I call a spade a spade. And we're bringing our music team there. Admission is free. Every night, every morning is different. Guest speakers. Get on out there to Toowoomba. The details are there at mesitilive.com. It's free, but we want to look after you in case something goes wrong, in case there's a venue issue or whatever. If we could put that link up there one more time, guys in the studio and my team up there, mesitilive.com, October 9 to 12, Toowoomba. End of the month, we're going to be in Hervey Bay and on the Gold Coast. We had such an awesome, awesome time in Bow Desert. I will tell you about that later on. But Wednesday is going to be sensational. Now, for those of you that follow us, listen, we have challenges with Instagram and have done so for a long, long time. I need you all to get on Rumble and all our other platforms. And my team will put a link in there for that. And you can get to us through Instagram via our link. We're in a war. And as I said here, when they try to counsel us, it's evil. But when people stay silent, it's an abomination. So, guys, thanks for being part of today, everyone. Thank you to Geoff. Thank you to Ben down there at Damn Good Productions and all my team. We'll see you Wednesday morning or Wednesday night. You don't want to miss Elspeth. I'm telling you, this is a game changer. I look forward to seeing you there. God bless everyone.